So God is taking care of everything, and He is making things happen out of His or her will.
Okay. What's the problem?
But to me, it seems that is not the case. It seems things are happening on their own, unfolding on their own, and that's it.
I don't understand the difference.
Okay, let me give an example. Let's
Good.
say we have two cars coming towards each other and about to get into an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they are gonna get into an accident because that's how the trajectory is set up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's a God bringing this car here and this car here, and it's not God making them clash together.
Is there really a car there? Is the car real?
In this example, yeah.
Okay. So what's the problem? It was God's plan that these people die on that day. And the car,
Yeah.
they just have to make another car. I don't understand the problem. I mean, if you're going to have faith like this, you got to have faith like this, right? I mean, seriously, you do. And if you have that kind of faith, then what's the problem? I mean, God, so the hour of our death is fixed, right? And these people, their time had come. And in this model, God, basically has arranged things to where they die instantly and they don't suffer, let's say.
But if the model is based on inaccuracy, then what's the point of that model?
Well, you're the one who presented it to me, and I think it's a very good model for people who don't get all complicated, for simple-minded people who just go to temple or to church or to mass or to their puja, and these are people that are provided for, but they aren't the most intelligent people necessarily with intellect, but they have very, very good hearts and they have a lot of faith, and with that they're okay. I don't see the problem, because we're only going one place, and that's where we came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem? I mean, would you rather die in a car accident like that, or would you rather get pancreatic cancer and take 6 months with chemotherapy and die, in pain and with all these medications going into you? And I mean, which would you prefer? I mean, are you going to judge God also?
It's not about judging God or not.
You just don't like the idea of two cars hitting each other.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's bad?
No, I was not thinking from that perspective.
Okay, then tell me I don't understand what the problem is. That if we take this model and these two cars are destined to hit each other and two people die, their bodies are crushed.
So there's a difference.
What's the difference?
So the reason I asked is it's not that I believe in this model.
Okay.
And I'm presenting this model. I'm asking you from your experience, from your direct experience, what you think is, or what you know is the reality. That's why I'm asking you.
Okay, I know that this is not okay. So you're asking me my opinion of reality, or what I know. Okay.
Not the opinion. What you know.
Okay. What I know is that this world is not the real world. This world is a world that's largely constructed by human language, concepts, conditioning, prior experience, and that if you pull apart just move a veil, which obscures clarity, all you do is step it to the side, you find that everyone's nature is the same. That Buddha nature and your consciousness and my consciousness and the consciousness of the people in the car, it's all one consciousness, although it does, for human purposes, it does individuate into these different individuals, right? Because humans have the ability to think about the future and think about the past and, be worried about the future, which, animals, most of them, I don't think they worry about the future too. They're always in the present, right? So we lose the present. So we're not living in reality. We're living in the immediate past or in the fantasies of the future. And so, but I still don't see how it makes a difference. Because it sounds to me like you have an idea of what God is and you want it to fit into your idea. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, let's say I'm talking to
That was
a
non-psychiatric.
75-year-old Indian woman, right? And she believes this exactly. And this is how she prays, and this is how she has faith, and this is how she sustains herself, and this is how she talks to God, and this is how she sees it. I don't see anything wrong with this. And it is very, very rigorous because you'd have to have an enormous amount of faith. For me, I'm not much of a faith guy because I'd rather observe directly, personally. And when I observe directly, I see that this world bears a lot more resemblance to a virtual world that's created by the brain, right? Like you could create something with a computer also, something that looks virtual. But the human brain is much more powerful in doing that. And so, in my experience, both experimentally, when I go in my dreams asleep and try and create a world with solid things in it and sounds that match, and where there's pain and there's smell and there's other people, and if when I knock on the wood, it's wood, and when I flip the switch, light goes on. So I know my brain can create a world out of nothing. But that's not. I don't want to talk about waking up because that's not as accessible necessarily to you at the moment, unless that's what you're going for, right? And even then, it's difficult to get the mind out of the way, right? But I think it's very important for people that are more intelligent to realize that we must provide for the people who are more simple-minded. And the fact that they're more simple-minded means nothing to God. I mean, because or to reality, there are no higher and lower beings, just like there's no race in reality, right? And there's no conflict. There's just humans doing silly things based on their mind, having nothing to do with actuality. So what I know is that I can't die because I wasn't born. That's one way of framing it, right? I know that this world is suffused with love and beauty beyond imagination and intelligence beyond human capacity to even begin to imagine. So those things I'd say I know. I mean, what can I say, right? But I prefer. I mean, it's absolutely essential that you make these decisions for yourself. As you know, I always say I don't want you adopting my beliefs or my opinions. That would be terrible. So you have to make these discoveries for yourself. Now, if you don't want to, or it doesn't suit you, or you could just live with a traditional model like that. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, we all rivers go to the sea, and eventually we all die anyway. So we're all going home. Some of us want to, die before we die, as the Sufis put it, or be born, as the Christians put it, or wake up, or moksha, or all the words. Find the nose on your face. It's very, very obvious once you see it, and so. And the other thing is that the process of getting there also grows people up, right? And so this is a very simple model. It assumes that people aren't going to do stupid things. It's going to assume that you're not going to drink too much or gamble away your wife's savings, right? Or your kids' savings or whatever. So if you can live life like this and not have any conflict and be at total peace, not a problem. Don't complicate it. And we can get rid of all this and go to a Taoist model, which is even more simple. In an 80-page book, they do, I think, a great job of laying out. If we take everything away, we're still left with this principle that is intelligent, that is active, that is creative, that is powerful, and that is immense beyond our capacity to even reason. And
Mm-hmm.
as much as we try with our intellect, it's always more than we can handle, right? And we also know there's nothing magical or mystical about thinking, normal thinking, because machines can do it. They can do it better than we can. They can remember better. They can retrieve better. They can process better. They can store more memory. So why in this model there's no question, because God controls everything. All is God's will. No need to worry. God will take care of everything. Yeah, that's powerful faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, that's the perfect thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. I don't decide what's perfect or what's good for one person or another. They have to decide for themselves. But this will work, especially if you lead a very, very clean life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know the Sufi saying, "Trust in God, but tie your camel." Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So this word God is quite problematic. It's like the word spiritual. It's a big problem because it's all tied into all these religious preconceptions. I mean, it's a he or a she. I mean, it's not. It's way beyond human gender. And so just that whole idea, just the whole concept. But see, we can't handle it. So we visualize, Krishna, or we visualize, um, well, depending on the tradition, in Tantra, you would visualize different tutelaries. In Christianity, you visualize Jesus, or you have a representation on the cross. In Islam, they don't do that. They don't have images, because we, I bet if we really interviewed someone like this and really got into it deeply, although they wouldn't need us, they would probably have some beliefs about God that are holding that up. And you should let those stay, right? I mean, if you're going to take something from someone, make sure you have something just as good or better to replace it with, or you haven't helped anything, right? So that's kind of how I see that. But let's hear a follow-up question.
Got it. I wanted to go into the practice that I'm doing.
Okay.
Uh, so basically, like the awareness practice and the not doing practice. And from what I have read in the books and from what I have heard from Krishnamurti, it seems like once the mind is capable of being quiet for long periods of time, when it's able to sustain that, then somehow the waking up, or like the supreme coming into or manifesting, will happen on its own.
Yes.
Because if I seek it, then I'm blocking it. So for me, the way to live is I found a way to live, so I continue living that way, and then leave everything to like on its own, and then see what happens.
Okay, that's great. Try it.
So I was wondering, just living life that way and reading books that I have, or like whatever, is that enough, or
I mean, could very well be. I mean, some people don't even need the books, right? Some people just wake up spontaneously. Some people have to work at it. Most people have to work at it somewhat, because it's not easy to clear away the ego, and it plays tricks, right? And it does everything it can to stay in power, right? So I don't know. Maybe it depends on what you want.
I mean, I so like as we talked about, I am going for waking up because everything else
Yeah, why
is
not? Why not? I mean, why not? And so you're not trying to get anything. You're just trying to drop some things. You already have. And we talked about how the Zen people talk about how everybody's already enlightened. And then there's gurus that go and they use that to confuse people. They say you don't need to do anything, just be or whatever. There's guys charging $1,000 an hour to tell you to do that. Try it. And if you've got a very good character and you have incredible faith, I guess, and this word is enough, this 3-letter word is enough, then by all means, give it a try, see how it goes. Most people find that they need help. They need guidance,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody.
Mm-hmm. I think what is happening is my ego or I, like what, like or both of them, are trying to create a plan for longer term so that I get somewhere, like I get to waking up, and the doubt is that I don't know whether whatever I know or whatever I am doing is enough.
Chances are it's not. I mean, the chances are it's not. I mean, if your goal is truth, truth is something that requires you really clean shop, right? And then you also have to be pretty mature because once you do wake up, and you have these like capacities and that you never dreamt of before, then your character, any issues with your character are going to be really salient,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's why for most people they want guidance both before and after,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's recommended for most people. Now there's always exceptions, right? But let's use Ramana Maharshi. Beautiful example, wonderful man. Spontaneously wakes up at 16,
Mm-hmm.
sits around in bed for 6 years, I guess, doesn't say anything, and then spends the rest of his life basically in a loincloth with all these people adoring him. And he gives out these, I mean, very beautiful, very simple teachings. What's his teaching? He says, find yourself and you find God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's his teaching, right? It's not this, not that, isn't he? The neti neti, one of these neti neti guys,
Mm-hmm.
using exclusion. So
Mm-hmm.
you use the word ego and I as if they were separate.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ego means I in German.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's right. And the id is the it, right? So not only do you have but also there's the animal drives too, right? So those have to be dealt with. But it doesn't. You don't have to complicate it.
Mm-hmm. So then I guess what I wanted to know was right now, like currently, do I need to be doing anything else or more than what I'm doing currently?
Yes.
Okay, and what would that be?
I don't know. What quiets your mind?
So I'm just doing the practice that whenever a thought comes up and I realize it, I go back to just being aware.
You don't
That's
follow
it.
the thought. Good. And you're
Yeah,
living in the present, right?
yeah.
And so, how long is the space between thoughts, or how long can you go without thought?
If I intentionally try it, it's maybe now, till now. But if I don't try it intentionally, it comes more often. But then the space is increasing.
Okay, let's do it again. All right. Let's start with the bell rings, and don't think. Okay. You ready? And tell me what happened.
Mm, at the end, I was feeling like something weird, like kind of foggy on the sides and then kind of teary in the eyes. But what kept on happening throughout the time is only one thought used to come up, which was, what am I aware of? And that's it.
Excellent. Very good. Now let's just tune that a little bit. Do you mind if we do that a little bit? So you're saying, what am I aware of? You can drop all that. Forget the I and forget the aware. And then if you close your eyes, forget to make it more simple in the beginning. Later you'll do this with your eyes open. I find it very hard to find a boundary anymore to my mind. Okay, it's just once you, it's like you just get used to your mind when you fall back into it, this vast space. But within that space, there are different things. You know, there's the pressure on your butt. There's the pressure on your feet. There's the sound of a voice. There's a every now and then you'll hear an owl. And that's all there is. And there's a certain peace when you realize how much space there is and how these little sensations, that none of them will last. They just come and go, just like thoughts. And so rather than focus on the sensations or the thoughts or the memories or the perceptions, focus on the container. What are these things being held in? And if you do that for a while, I mean, especially, have you tried any sutra, by the way? Okay, so that may be something else that you might like. But yeah, you're on the right track here, you know, clearly. But now you can just get rid of the I and the I am doing or I am trying and just be. You can drop the I out and there's nothing is lost. The I itself is just another thought, just another concept.
So I think the idea of I coming in is it's basically like a check-in. That am I still
What
being
are you
aware of?
made of? What are you made of? Remember, the only question, the one, the most important one to answer, incidentally, it's the Ramana Maharshi question, which is first we need to know who you are, what you are. Are you satisfied that you know what you are?
Oh, I mean, I don't know
Well, see that you got to find out. I mean, that one you got to find out. I mean, I would recommend that to anybody that because you know most of your DNA is animal DNA. Actually, no, most of it is bacterial DNA and some viruses and probably some fungi, and then you know all the animals that are our ancestors. You have their DNA. Your DNA is identical, and your metabolic pathways are basically identical to at least 97%, probably more, to you know other animals. So, are you going to call that you? Or are you going to call those bacteria you? I mean, the ones that are normal and healthy in your gut, and they're you know they're doing all kinds of things. They're having living lives. They're having parties. They're getting together. They're forming clubs. You know, they're fighting wars. They're having a grand old time. All the bacteria in your body, right? And you need them. But are they you?
I won't call them me.
Okay, now what about the water that you're made of? I mean, because you're made of, I think you're, what is it?
70% water.
Yeah, at least. So are you going to call the water you?
No.
Okay, so now we've got 30% by weight is you. Now, are you going to call yourself the bone?
No.
Because you can put titanium in there, right? So let's get rid of the bone. Let's take out another, I don't know, 3 pounds with the marrow, right? So that's not you. So what's left?
It's like the space in the atom. Like,
The space in the atom. Okay, well, okay, let's tell me about that. How do you visualize the atom now?
so I just see that there's a separate dimension that might be me, but I don't know what that is.
Okay, well that's the critical question. But so you've seen the models of the atom where there's like a baseball in the middle of a baseball stadium, and the nucleus is the size of the baseball or a bowling ball, and the rest of it is just open space, right? But but that's only the beginning, because then you have to go into the nucleus, and you start looking at these particles, and you realize that, hey, we can't even predict where they're going to go, or how fast they're going to do it. We can't do it unless we start using quantum mechanics and all that crazy stuff, right? Because it doesn't exist the way we think it does. Of course not. Now, we've known this for 3,000 years plus. Every spiritual person with any knowledge knows that this world is Maya, right? That's not new with Buddhism. That started long ago. And so, how do you know you is not Maya? I mean, that's the question, because you say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make this decision, I'm gonna take these choices, and I don't have to worry because God's gonna take care of me. Well, what is you that He's gonna take care of? Because He's gonna kill you, right?
I mean, so if I logically think about it, this I am calling is still a thought. It's like one thought is trying to compete against another thought.
Correct. Very good. Excellent. See what I mean? You're making good progress.
So like even the idea that
So if we really did this, okay, so you don't need to worry. God will take care of everything. I mean, it's worded in a way that, but if you worded this a little bit differently, it's like a Taoist master. There's very little you need to do, just accord with the way. And if you're halfway intelligent and you can observe what's going on, you know that you shouldn't like have 2-year-old kids dancing around a big bonfire, so somebody will get burned. And you don't go too near it to a cliff because somebody might fall off. I mean, but this notion that there's a natural order to things. I mean, you didn't ask to be born, did you? So who then? Wait a minute. So who's in charge here?
The only thing I can say is I don't know.
But you say I, and so that already you're making an assumption.
I mean, it's the language, because I don't.
Very good. It is a language. So now we have to speak. Now, welcome to the world. I mean, to my world. Now you have to say that, and somehow or another you have to figure out a way to say it with language, and be accurate. So tell me again, what goes on in your head?
There's a thought that comes up, and this thought is like one thought kind of judging other thoughts. So one thought is one thought when I do something, then other thoughts come in, and these are just interplaying together, and that is the experience.
Okay, so let's say that's the case, right? You're having these experiences, but are you in charge of these experiences?
So the interplay of thoughts is going on, and
right, and clearly those thoughts they're not helpful, right?
Yeah, and even the controller is a thought.
Correct.
So I can't say that I am controlling things, because even the controller is also a thought.
Right. So what if you just completely dropped the I and said, "There's no need to worry. The way will take care of everything," like the animals, right?
Yeah. So the problem that comes is, let's go back to that question. What am I aware of? That question comes in because it has been observed that if I don't ask that question, I get carried away by thoughts. But if I keep asking that question, then isn't like that awareness comes again and again. So that kind of brings more space in between thoughts. So
okay. So what is, if you keep asking yourself the question, what's the question?
What am I aware of?
Okay. Can you drop that question and just be aware?
So if I drop that question, after some time, the attention, like the attention gets lost, and then the thought, like the dialogue, takes over, because there's no. But whenever that question comes in, the dialogue stops, and I am again.
It sounds like you may be stopping the world. I mean, you're getting close to stopping the world. You know what I'm referring to, right? Don Juan,
Yeah.
the middleman.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you're stopping the world.
So that's why it seems that the thought, what am I aware of, is being welcomed and encouraged, because
Well, just drop the I. Just drop the I. Something just is. You don't have to put an I into it. I mean, there's a dull kind of sensation that I guess you could call pressure. There's a slight wind on the skin, but there's no skin in my consciousness. There's just those sensations, and then I hear a voice, and I feel some movement over here. Why put an I in there? Why add an object where there's no need for the object? It's in Buddhism they call this thusness, right? And when you wake up, it'll be obvious, right? It'll all be obvious, okay? And waking up is not really getting anything; it's getting rid of things, and so you're getting rid of a lot of the conceptual baggage, right? But you have this one idea that's the exact opposite of waking up, which is it's me. I'm going to do it. Now, it's very hard to understand that until you've tripped the wire, right? But once you do, you'll see that the preoccupation with the mental construct called the I for the human shuts down everything. Good.
So what if I replace that with just like be aware, like a
leave out? Why do you need a command? It just is. So you're trying to do something, and the whole thing here is there's no reason to do anything. So don't do anything. Don't add things. Don't add that. Be aware. Just note what's there and enjoy the spaciousness. Enjoy the. I mean, it's a great place to hang out. But you don't need to bring yourself into it. I mean, when you do, you're just going to contaminate it.
So let me give an example.
Perfect.
So like I am like aware and just watching, and suddenly there is a it's not a thought, but like an intuition kind of feeling.
A what?
Like an intuition kind of feeling.
Inclusion?
Intuition.
INCL, inclusion?
Intuition.
Oh, intrusion. Okay, intrusion. I got it. Okay.
Not intrusion. Intuition.
Oh, intuition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Intuition.
All right. Forgive me. Okay. All right. I got it. Intuition. There's an intuition that what?
That be alert kind of thing.
All right. Well, just don't follow that thought. I mean, you were alert because you saw it. And if you're alert, you'll let it go. And you watch it just go. It won't. It can't stay there unless you follow it. The thought has no. I mean, it has a certain reality, if not actuality, right? But the thing is, they can't sustain themselves unless you follow the thought. The thought will just go away by itself. So will the sensations, by the way.
So
nothing lasts in this consciousness. Everything changes except for the consciousness, which never changes because is not born, doesn't die, has no time. It's not. But it fuses this world. It's life in consciousness itself, right? There's you can't add things to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so So like, let's say I am working, like I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I am engaged in talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then after we're gonna end our call, there will be like a natural kind of reminder to be aware, and I just watch it, it dissipates.
How about I am awareness? If you're gonna give yourself things like that, if you're gonna give yourself stuff like that, right? You might as well be correct. And you're identifying with the body and the brain and the thoughts. And that's the mistake, right? I mean, that's not the mistake. That's how people live, and that's what they're trying to get out of, right? And so they identify with the wrong thing. So it's rather than I will be aware or be aware, which is an imperative, it's a command. If there's going to be I in it at all, it would be I am awareness. I am the container to start with. I'm the container for these things. There's no boundary to my mind, to my consciousness. And then we can get into later what these objects really are, right? But for now, you're identifying on the wrong side of the fence. You see? So, but you're not far. You're making progress. Things can happen.
Yeah, I think I don't know what to do about it.
That's correct. You don't. Because you is actually the problem. Mm-hmm. And getting rid of you, the jihad, right? The holy war. Mm-hmm. Annihilating the ego, they say, but you don't annihilate it. You just put it in its place. You don't need it for this. As a matter of fact, it keeps you from getting it. It's like getting onto the boat. Remember that, this cabbage? Get it onto a canoe and you've got 2 tons of cabbage with you, and you insist that you're not going to cross the river unless you got the cabbage. But you can't get across the river in a canoe with 2 tons of cabbage. Mm-hmm. So you just leave the cabbage on the side. There'll be some cabbage on the other side. When it hits you, it's so obvious. It's like, ugh, but it's. So, I mean, what I have to say is that you're making good progress, is what I see, because you're taking it seriously. And I was surprised at this prayer thing when you really analyze it. I mean, this is kind of like living your life as a prayer.
Which prayer?
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is. Thy will be done, right? Give us this day our daily bread. God takes care of everything. And lead us not into temptation. And then if you read the opening of the Quran, is gorgeous. It's just like, because God is life, right? God is awareness. God is consciousness, right? So just 3 human attributes, So now, when you talk about be aware, well, you are awareness. Mm-hmm. So you see the shift? You see the difference?
So I see the difference. It's that so when awareness forgets that it's awareness, something needs to bring it back to
Unfortunately, it gets brought back because of our selfish thinking and our delusion about reality. But you need no thought. Thought is just, it's just crappy stuff. It's just crummy. It'd be like, you're going through a dump, okay? Where people they dump all their garbage. And you really need a book because the world has been destroyed, right? And you get some pulp fiction novel that sells for like $4, and it's just basically trash novel that women read for, excitement or something. That's all you got. So that's would be like thought. A crappy book in a junk pile, right? So yeah, it could be useful for something here and there, and it is. I mean, I'm not trying to put thought down. I'm just saying that in this enterprise, conceptual thought thinking is the opposite of the reality. And so as long as you're holding up that I thought, you need to be aware. You need to increase the space between your mind. You need to do this or that. You need to get enlightened. All of that's crap. Leave the you out. Leave the I out. And it's a lot of it is in the effort, frankly. So other questions? Good stuff.
I think I'm just not able to see how I can continue doing this without the help of a thought.
Which thought do you think you need?
It feels like I need a reminder.
Oh yeah, well, you could do that. You could put things. I mean, you could put stickers up around the house. You could put little. I mean, I used to make Xeroxes and laminate them and put them everywhere. Yeah, reminders are great. You can have a little alarm going off. You get whatever works. That's what this. People use these for all kinds of things, right?
So this reminder, when I see a sticker and suddenly I become aware, the same thing is being done by a thought, which is kind of like be aware.
Okay.
It's like an internal.
All right. So you got. If that's the only thought you have, you could probably manage it. But I bet you could just say awareness.
But I'm trying to also see your point that how I can do it without even that thought.
Well, you could focus on your breath. You could read sutra.
But then if I focus on the breath,
then your mind is preoccupied. So the brain is like a vacuum cleaner. I mean, it's got to have something in it. All right. Have you noticed? If you try and empty it, then a thought wants to fill it up. Okay. But if you're really preoccupied doing something, your brain is full. And you can fill your brain or your mind, your human mind, that little paltry thing, with a mantra, or by following the breath, or with sutra. And as long as you're doing that, you're not thinking thoughts. The thoughts are being pumped into you, and they're good thoughts, right? They're powerful thoughts. They're healthy thoughts. They're thoughts that open the mind, right? And so you're not thinking. You don't have to do anything. You just, yeah. Just don't get in your own way. But that's easier said than done.
So even when I used to watch breath, what would happen is I am watching the breath, then suddenly I lose track, and then there's a reminder that I am not focusing on the breath.
Perfect. Then you start over. That's why you count.
So this reminder is again a thought.
Yeah. Okay. You're not going to be perfect in the beginning. And anyway, I mean, did somebody say you're not supposed to ever think or ever have a thought?
No, but isn't that what you are saying? That
no. When you're on the other side, you don't want any thought because it basically it's crappy. It's crummy. It's no good. It's like eating garbage. I mean, but that's from the other side. Now on this side, yeah, if the thought I need to practice, or the thought is I need to return to the one because I lost track at 3, right? Or I got to read the next page of sutra that has been refined over thousands of years for exactly this purpose, to fill the mind, and then you don't have to worry about thinking because the thinking is being done for you. And it's good thinking. You see what I'm saying? I love sutra for that. But and religious music too. I mean, to a point. So the real enemy is not the thought. It's the I that thinks it's doing the thinking. There's no you to do the thinking. It's just thought without a thinker.
So that I...
Listen, did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Thoughts without a thinker.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so contemplate that. These thoughts are not you. And then, so what is you? So far, we've got that. We've got like maybe 10 pounds of tendon, you know. If we take out the water and we take out the bones and we take out the bacteria and the viruses, the fungi, there's not going to be a whole lot left. And you're probably fit in a mayonnaise jar, powdered. But that, are you going to call that you?
No.
Of course not. The you is the life in the body. Without so you are life, you are consciousness, you are, you know, awareness itself. Without that, you're not even alive. You're not aware of anything. I mean, a dead dog does not smell fire hydrants. So you have to have life in order to do any of this. But you've gotten life here on this planet, and now you realize that it might be interesting to see where you came from and where you're going. For a number of reasons. One, it's a fascinating journey. It's a fantastic journey. And secondly, it's always about trying to improve, right? So I'd say just drop the I thought, you're fine. I mean, the ideal is when you're not present at all. I mean, I strive for that. I strive for that in my work.
Yeah. So I think what is possible, what I see is happening is when I lose track, there is a reminder, but not a thought, but like a.
Okay, fine. I mean, perfection is not going to happen on this planet. Okay, you're only going to approximate this anyway, and then there's some kind of grace or something. I don't know how it works. Like I said, I took a nap and woke up, and I was not expecting to. But when I look back, I think I had laid some groundwork, just like Eckhart Tolle did, right? And Rupert Spira's been a lifetime, right? And then you could go, but there are exceptions like Jesus and other people that are just born gifted or divinely inspired, right? I mean, literally, it's very hard to understand how Moses could get the commandments easy, you know, in any easy way, or how Jesus was, you know, you can't put that into words. And then the Quran is written in a way that I can't understand how somebody could write that. So there's mysteries here. I don't think animals have the same problem because they're always in the present. Yeah, it just make everything, make your whole world a puja. Put reminders everywhere. Bells, incense, candles, you know, whatever. You knock yourself out. You know, have some, you know, it's okay to get into that stuff.
So if animals are already present and they have kind of, then that means that they are already woken up.
Yep. But it's the consciousness has taken the animal form, or the plant form, or the human form. And so, I mean, God, I mean, so imagine experiencing the experience of every sentient creature on the planet, right? Everyone that's living, everyone that's ever lived, and everyone that's going to live. The human brain can't imagine that. But in reality, it's it's obvious. The power and the intelligence, the creative capacities are like, yeah, you could do that and like create a trillion other universes, you know, on an out breath. You know, it's crazy.
Got it. I I think we are already kind of out of time.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, thanks for the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And let me know if there's any questions. And I don't know if, are you watching the YouTubes at all?
Yeah.
And so